It's also pretty cool to see BYU football having success once again at the tight end position. Last year, they produced an NFL draft pick in Carson Ryan, who's with the Cleveland Browns as a 7th-round pick. Now BYU looks to take it to an even higher level with Walker Lyons, Roger Saleapaga in this tight end unit. And the man that assembled this tight end group is Kevin Gilbride, heading into his 3rd season with the BYU football program, a former BYU quarterback back in the day as a player. He spent a lot of time as a coach in the NFL before finding his way back to Provo. And I started the conversation by asking Coach Gilbride if he sees in his experience now with a couple years under his belt in the college ranks, some intersection of life in the NFL and how being a college football coach is like. And here's Coach Gilbride.
There's definitely some intersection as far as roster building and all that stuff. But what is a little bit different is in college, the coaches have a lot more influence on who the players are. In the NFL, for the most part, you have your influence, you write your reports, you do your research. But when push comes to shove, it's the general managers and the head coaches and ownership who makes the decisions on who's in your room. In college, we recruit them, so our position coaches have a lot more influence. As far as the football itself, there's definitely a lot of crossover. Football is football, in my opinion. But we, including our offense, you're seeing a lot more offenses that are adapting their ways to how the NFL is leading the charge. And what I mean by that is some 12 personnel, some 13 personnel to try to put some strain and stress on the defense as far as their play calls and how they're lining up the different things that you can do in those personnel groups.
And I'm curious, you coming from a football family, does your dad ever kind of weigh in on what you guys are doing here at BYU, or maybe come out here to practice or camp at all and see how BYU's doing things?
He doesn't weigh in, but more, it's not like a criticism ever.
Sure.
It's more like a, hey, what were you guys trying to get done there? Or that was awesome how you guys attacked, the flat defender, or whatever the case may be. He's usually now more of an appreciator than he is an influencer or someone who's going to judge.
When you were a player, did you always know in the back of your mind you wanted to be a coach? Like, when was the first moment you really said, I want to pursue the path of coaching?
That's a funny question, because when I was young, I thought as soon as I'm done playing in the NFL, MLB, and NBA, I'll be a coach, because my dad was a coach. And then it got to the point where I was very unsure what I wanted to do. But then, and this is during college, and then when I started reflecting on what do I truly have passion for, it was the coaches that made such a great influence and had such a great influence on my life that I was like, you know what, that's what I want to do. I want to help develop young men to be the best people they can be and best players they can be. So it's college.
and how rewarding has it been? Because look at the tight end room you got this year. You had to recruit, probably get some heated battles to get these guys assembled. But your thoughts on this group and the trying to develop these guys into the best they could be?
Well, I'm very happy, number one, to be able to have not just the quality of player, but quality of person in that room. It's a special group in that regard. It's up to me and them to get them to be the best players that they can be. And to me, it's still an unfinished product. So I'm excited about it, but we still have work to do. But if we continue to progress the way that we have thus far, we're going to be very special from a talent standpoint, from a production standpoint, as a football player, as well as being the great people that they are off the field.
Is Walker Lyons maybe more athletic than maybe he gets credit for?
I think he is, actually. He's sneaky athletic, and part of that is he's really starting to move efficiently. There's not much false movement, and that really is going to help you to be able to be quicker and more agile. But then on the other side, because he's working hard at it, number one. But then on the other side of things, just from a talent standpoint, I think he's got a little bit more in the tank than people give him credit for.
Yeah, and Bear Bachmeier said that Carson Ryan was his safety blanket. Do you envision, hope that can be the case here for maybe the chemistry is being developed between Walker and Bear and Roger Saleapaga as well?
That's exactly right, and that's something that the quarterbacks need. Number one is they need to have somebody in a tight end / two tight ends that they can truly trust, and they know exactly where they're going to be every time. And so that is what is being developed right now. It's not there quite yet, but it's getting there. And as long as we continue to just work at it and don't get frustrated and continue to make progress, we're going to be on the same page with the quarterbacks, and we need to be, but we need to continue to take those steps.
How valuable was it last year to have maybe a proof of concept and I know that he didn't get drafted when you were going through portal recruiting with Walker and Roger, but to have someone who was super productive like Carson Ryan last year, 600 receiving yards, to say to these guys, hey, you could do this potentially in this offense and try to do it at a higher level?
It's incredibly influential, but it wasn't necessarily me or Coach Tyson, my assistant tight end coach, or Coach Al selling it. It was them having conversations with Carson, and it wasn't just what we can do in this offense, but hey, how are these coaches? How is the culture of the team? And it was Carson Ryan selling them on it. So I feel very blessed to have had the opportunity to coach Carson and watch him progress and continue to get better and better and better, and now getting better in the pros too, and then very fortunate to have him influence these guys.
With Roger, with someone like him who, yes, he was a heralded recruit out of high school, but maybe just little production, I guess, at the college level, what do you do as an evaluator to forecast? Is it measurements? Is it how he fits maybe in a particular scheme? Like, what do you do when someone maybe has little film at the college level to project as a transfer?
I think you evaluate the little film that they have, and that includes special teams film, includes all the different, anything you get your hands on. Then you evaluate how they were in high school, and then basically compare them to high school players right now that you would potentially be recruiting, and then get to know them as a kid. It's got to be, especially at BYU, it has to be the right fit as far as a person's concerned. In our room, I need to have guys that want to be pushed, that want to be the best player they can be, and that will just take steps, follow their process every single day, and that's what we found in Roger. So it wasn't that hard to get the true evaluation, because once you get to know the kid, like, he's a special kid.
Yeah, talking with him, he takes pride too in the fact that he feels like he's evolving as a blocker. Do you see that showing up from him, and maybe other areas that you feel like he's evolving in camp?
He's certainly evolving and getting better as a blocker, but I felt like he was a decent blocker in college at Oregon, but he's getting better. And where we're working on with him is finishing, and that's, to me, that's going to be a huge factor, a huge contributor in the results of our run game, because it's not always going to be block perfect, but if we finish and we can stay engaged with these defenders, Bear Bachmeyer, Sione Moa, and LJ Martin will run through arm tackles, and that makes huge production. Rather than being a 4 to 5 yard gain, it becomes a 12 to 15 yard gain.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about a few other guys here with Coach Gilbride. Noah Moeaki, I think people forget, like, he was the guy that, he had a touchdown grab early in the season last year and can be a factor, and he's been a veteran in this program. Where you see maybe growth from Noah Moeaki and Kean Need as well, who played a lot of snaps last season?
Kean, it's definitely his knowledge of the offense, and that just doesn't mean the X's and O's of it. It's how to execute your job based on play, based on rule. For Noah, he continues to just become a master of the craft of knowing how to execute a job, and he's just getting better and better in that area. Right now, he's been dinged up, so he's not taking those steps, but he's a very bright young man, and I trust him, and our rest of our coaching staff trust him to put him in at any position, and he's going to be able to know how to execute the job and do it to the best of his ability.
That's BYU tight ends coach Kevin Gilbride here on Cougar Tracks, and he noted in my conversation with him that he feels there's about 6 tight ends in his room that he could trust in a game. So you think about Walker Lyons, Roger Saleapaga, Moeaki when he's healthy, Kean Need, Will Zundel, and then that 6th guy, you could go a lot of different directions, maybe Ethan Wood, Jacob Nye, somewhere in there. But BYU's tight end room, much deeper than it's been. I think the deepest it's been since they joined the Big 12 Conference, and maybe the deepest in the Kalani Sitake era. It's a strong room for the Cougars, and it's going to be a big weapon for this team. I'm curious to see how the role of Roger Saleapaga continues to evolve. I mean, could he be like a wide receiver in some respects for this team? How he can line up out wide, he can be an inline tight end. He can do a lot in this offense, and I think Walker Lyons is the complete package at the tight end spot, and Saleapaga is not far off as well. Let's take our final break. On the other side, we'll continue to talk more Cougar football as fall camp starts to wind down right here on Cougar Tracks.